If you look across the Pope's head, there's a little closet there. And at one point, he said, wait, I want to get something and show you something. So he's 83 years old, but he's in good health. He runs over to that closet and opens the door and comes back with this book. And the book's titled Human Fraternity, and it's written in about 7 languages. But he's very excited about this because he drafted this book together with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar University in Cairo, this is the Chongqing Theological Seminary of Islam. It's really the place where you go to learn from the most highly regarded teachers of Islam. He worked on this document together, he said, for 6 months in private. He was very excited to tell us about it. And he presented it when he visited Abu Dhabi in February of this year. Now it's interesting, on this is the back cover of the book. That is Pope Francis with his time in Abu Dhabi and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar University. Who knows who that is in the upper picture? I can't hear you, but it's St. Francis of Assisi meeting the Grand Sultan of Egypt. Around the time, I think, of the 5th Crusade, he made a visit to the Sultan, who was the nephew of Saladin, who had defeated the Crusaders previously. And it's a very, very significant moment where it is believed that Francis was there at the risk of his life to try to broker peace. Now, this occurred 800 years ago, in 1219. So this is very much in Francis's mind. He took on the name Francis. So it was a very, very significant meeting. How does it come about? It comes about through the work in the field. Of course, True Parents' work over many years. Just one example, the Pope is from Argentina. UPF is very active in Argentina. Before Pope Francis was Pope Francis, he was a bishop and a cardinal in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and he came to know our movement. The work we've done through MEPI over the years. We had a conference on the crisis in Syria back around 2012. This is this picture, sorry. This picture was based in Geneva, where we did a consultation on the crisis. And this was made known to the Vatican. I was invited in 2014 by the Pontifical Academy of Sciences. This is the Papal Research Institute, to meet with a group of about a dozen, this is from the Pontifical Academy. Our work at the UN, the World Interfaith Harmony Week. We work closely with Ambassador Archbishop Auza. He's a Philippine permanent representative of the Vatican, their mission to the United Nations, and we've become very close to him. He's a good friend of Pope Francis. When Francis came to the UN in 2015, Archbishop Auza was his host, in a way, took care of him at that time. And when we mentioned Archbishop Auza to the Pope, he said, "Oh, I know Archbishop Auza, he's constantly working. He's a very, very hard worker. He's always writing speeches. He writes one speech with his right hand, and at the same time he's writing a second speech with his left hand." And he laughed. And he's a very genuine person. He listened intensely to us with very great respect and appreciation. Also, we took the opportunity at this time, after the meeting at the Vatican, which I'd like to say a lot more, and I'm kind of rushing through it, but I hope you get some idea about it. We went to visit the headquarters of the World Food Program to discuss how we, UPF, can partner with the World Food Program in its initiatives and its work around the world. So because Ambassador Badri is the ambassador to the World Food Program, we also had a direct access to meeting with their high-level officials there in Rome. And we discussed how can faith-based organizations work more with the World Food Program collaboratively in places where they are based. They were very open to that, very receptive, and we are in the process of following up to that. I should mention one other partnership that we've engaged in. UPF is now working in collaboration with the offices of the UN Office of Drugs and Crime on a project that brings together faith-based organizations to apply to areas of criminal justice and crime prevention. We're having a conference, Dr. Jenkins and I are working on it in San Francisco later this year, and then there'll be a meeting in Kyoto, Japan, of the UN Office of Drugs and Crime. So these are examples of partnerships that open up many doors and opportunities on a very much expanded level for our movement. I did on this particular trip meet with Knesset member Hilik Bar, and there's Hod Ben Zvi. I wanted to give a little plug for Hod's business. Hod, are you here? Now, this is his coffee shop that he runs, his business to support his, you need coffee. And we met with the Angelucci's. But then we went to Africa. There's no Africa leadership here today because they're busy in Sao Tome. But I just want to mention in my final part of this presentation that we went to the African Union Summit in Niamey, Niger, after Rome. And this is another example of partnership. We were guests of President Issoufou Mamadou, the president of Niger, who's come to know us, know our movement, know True Parents. All the African heads of state and leaders are there, ambassadors from around the world. They passed something called the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which was a major breakthrough. 54 African nations signed it, kind of like a common market agreement or a free trade agreement for all of Africa that has wide-ranging implications. President Issoufou was presiding. Whenever he saw us, he was very, very gracious and welcoming and friendly. There are many other leaders and heads of state who were there at that time. There's Mrs. Rigney. There's the son of Kevin Winter, Fortune Winter, and Patern Zinsou. This is the Deputy Secretary of the UN, Adina Mohammed. She works directly under Secretary General Gutierrez. This is Raila Odinga, who is the former Prime Minister of Kenya, and who's working with us. He was delighted to see us and will come to the World Summit. He also is involved in a program, another partnership with UN Habitat that's taking place in early September that Taj has spearheaded with another UN agency called UN Habitat. This is the Commissioner of the African Union. This is President Ramaphosa of South Africa. All these people are in a room like this, you know, and you can meet them and catch them during breaks and that. This is President Buhari of Nigeria. And all of them are being informed about World Summit 2020. This is a great NGO leader. Another person we came across there is Dr. Adesina, the head of the African Development Bank. You remember him from this photo, recipient of the Sunhawk Peace Prize. We went to Lagos after that and met with President Goodluck Jonathan. So there's a lot to say. The one thought is that a lot of this happens through building partnerships, and partnerships are related to principles of give and take action, building good relationships. You can think of it theologically in terms of foundation of faith and substance. How do we create a natural, collaborative, cooperative, not emphasizing the hierarchy, let's say, of the foundation of faith, but to some extent the horizontality of the foundation of faith. How do we work together, build that relationship, and through that process we grow and expand. I have to stop there because we have greater speakers coming from the UPF region. So thank you for your attention, and I wanted to just share a few of these thoughts with you. Our next speaker is none other than the chairwoman of UPF Korea. Please welcome Professor Yona Moon.